Good afternoon, everyone. We are delighted to be participating in the Rio Climate Action Week, as we did for the London Climate Action Week. These are tremendous opportunities to share the work of some amazing students. My name is Richard Gilby. I work for Cambridge University Press and Assessment as Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean. But a really interesting part of my work is I'm also an International Climate Change Education Ambassador for Cambridge. So in Cambridge, we take our responsibility on climate change education very, very seriously. And you can see on the screen the basic ideas. And what I would encourage you all to do, whether you're a Cambridge school or not, is log into our public website and have a look at the climate change education area of the website. There are free resources there. And if you're a teacher, there's also a research community there to join so that you work with like-minded teachers and educators from elsewhere in the world on developing climate change education. So the Getting Started guide is amazing, so it's worth having a look at that. And this is all part of our commitment to climate change education as Cambridge University Press and Assessment. And the key parts of climate change education you're seeing there on the screen. And what we're doing today is talking about climate change, and that process of talking about things as human beings is fundamentally important for education. Talking is action as well. And today we're joined by three incredible students. We've got Leonardo from the British School in Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. We've got Maura from Greeley-Calling College in Argentina, and we've got Madison from Sky College in South Africa. And I wanted to call out the names of the schools because these students have shared with us the amazing things you're doing at schools on working on climate change education. So educators, thank you so much for all of this support. Right, let's make a start, and let's ask firstly Leo. Leo, can I ask you, how's your country being impacted by climate change? What motivates you to get involved with this?
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Leonardo, as Richard said. I live in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And Brazil is the fifth largest country in the world in size, and it contains like 6 different biomes. Therefore, as Brazilians and people who live in Brazil, experience the effects of climate change in several different extreme ways. For example, in the northeast of Brazil, where the Cerrado biome is located, there are severe droughts during summer periods every year, while on the south of Brazil, last year in 2024, there happened floods, which was a record floods in the country, which afterwards I will talk a bit more about it. And in Rio de Janeiro, where I live, in 2023, Taylor Swift came to sing a concert, and during her concert, unfortunately, we had a heat wave, which with over 40 degrees Celsius and the sensation of over 60 degrees. And what motivates me to take action? There's 2 main things. The first thing is the sense of responsibility that I feel, and I think everyone in the world feels as well. Since planet Earth is our home, and we need to take care of our home so that we can have an enjoyable future. First of all, I acknowledge that lots of people want to help, but don't have the appropriate knowledge or resources to do so. So I think we should provide them these resources, and the first steps is to transform knowledge into action, because I think for the future of our planet, inaction cannot be an option. And the second aspect that motivates me a lot is the role of technology. While in one side, technology helps us finding ways and strategies to mitigate climate change, technology advancements is often moving people far away from each other, making us more distant from each other, which I view it as an obstacle for collective action. And I feel the generation that is being most impacted is the younger generation, which are losing this sense of community. which in my opinion is essential for having an enjoyable future ahead of us. Thank you.
Leo, you got us off to an excellent start. Thank you very much. That sense of community is so, so important, isn't it? And that's why I'm so proud to have students from 3 different countries here today participating, bringing people together. That's excellent. Maura, can I turn to you and ask you about climate change in Argentina and what's motivated you to get involved with all the work you're doing?
Well, in my country, climate change is not distant. We live it every day. For instance, this year, Bahia Blanca, that is a coastal city in the south of Buenos Aires, was hit by almost 300 millimeters of rain in just a few hours. The scale of this is that amount of water is what it rains in a whole year there. So this led to several floods that finally killed 17 people, led with more than 200 people disappear and thousands without shelter. As well, we have other type of climatic hazards, such as droughts, as Leo said, that have forced farmers to rely on HB4 transgenic wheat. That is a type of wheat that can survive without much water. And this is a very controversial method because we don't really know about the impacts in human health and the environment. And Argentina was the first country in all the world to approve this type of transgenic wheat. Droughts have also caused other things such as fires. For instance, in 2022, in Canning, that is where our school is located, there were fires near the school that have forced many people to evacuate the place because the fires were so fast expanding that they couldn't stop it. And I think that the thing that motivates me is that I always had this deep love for nature and for everything that is connected to the environment. And since a very young age, I have this critical thinking about the environment and how human activity can affect our life and the wildlife we live with. And I also think, as Leo said, that this is our planet, we don't have another planet, and it involves all of us to take responsibility, to take action, and to take care of this. We share this place to live, and I also think that there are many people without the opportunity or resources to be part of educative programs that can help they understand what is happening in this planet. So basically, my lifelong connection and this concern for the environment and the social well-being is what motivates me.
Great, thank you very much indeed. That's amazing. Yes, this question of floods and droughts here in Mexico, we're suffering saying that we're getting record damage this year from the floods that we're getting now in the rainy season. And last year we got hardly any rain at all. So yeah, we're facing the same as you're facing in Brazil and in Argentina. Madison in South Africa. What brings you to this? How is South Africa being affected by the current climate change, and what motivated you to get involved?
So hi, I'm Madison. In South Africa, when I did my research, I found a report on our climate from the 1900s to 2022, and there was a steady increase in temperature. And the biggest problem that we have in South Africa is that most of the climate change that we experience is largely given to us by other countries, like the European countries who produce a lot more carbon footprint than we do. And we are affected I'm so sorry, disproportionately, there, English, to the amount of carbon emissions we are giving out. In 2025, we experienced numerous fires that resulted in both fatalities and significant destruction. This talking point is crucial because these fires are largely a consequence of climate change and increasing heat. these fires have a larger impact than they would in countries that are funded properly, but because South Africa is not funded, does not dedicate their funding to stopping and trying to prevent fires, we have more damage than we would if people arrived at the scene earlier. In South Africa, we, I think, are known for our savannas, our lions, our zebras, but our biggest contributor to biodiversity is actually our wetlands, which are largely affected by increased rain from climate change because lots of plastic is washed into them, and animals, especially animals like frogs with semi-permeable skin, can absorb all of the chemicals and toxic substances that are given off by the plastic. Fires also mean that they destroy wetlands, and wetlands actually help prevent fires. So it's just a ongoing cycle. What motivates me, I think the most, is that other people are doing things too. Watching other people also help makes me feel inspired to keep doing it because it doesn't feel like, you're alone in what you're doing and other people actually care. And I love to see it because I love animals and the planet, and it hurts me that we hurt them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madison. You made so many good points there. I'm not sure where to begin. That's amazing. Yes, you're disproportionately affected in Africa, which is grossly unfair. And also, there's not the resources to either mitigate against climate change or adapt to the effects of climate change. So you're suffering a triple whammy there in Africa. And it's something where we need the whole global community to get together and work on this and not just try and do it individually. So, and the last point you touched upon about not being alone on this, I think this is very, very important. Studies at Cambridge show that a lot of young people suffer eco-anxiety. So the idea that there are other people out there in the same situation as you are is really helpful. So thank you. Great points. Well done. Okay, now let's talk about what you guys are actually doing about this and how you're actually having an impact. Theo, can we start with you, please?
Yeah, sure. So after the devastating floods in the south of Brazil, the state's called Rio Grande do Sul in 2024, I created a CAS project as part of my IB program called Together for Rio Grande do Sul, which the main goal was to me from Rio be able to actually help people that were suffering from the floods in the area. So I partnered with a local NGO in the area called Acendendo Mendes, and I found a sponsor, which was Instituto Tim, that's funded 50 t-shirts that I distributed in my community between my friends and family to raise awareness here in Rio about what was happening in the south of the country. As a result, a lot of donations were given towards this NGO, and we were able to help around 200 families with clothes, food, water, and help with shelter. And this project gave me the LAHC prize for initiative and originality. But more than this, more than the prize, I feel that it comes back to my main point of a sense of community, because I think between my friends, the young people here in Rio, I was able to join them and create this sense of helping the next person, helping the people that were actually in need during the time. And this made me really happy. Another project that I participated during 3 months last year was a project called Ecoflora, which basically we were every Sunday going to the Sugarloaf and planting trees that were parts of the Atlantic forest biome. That's more than 90% of this biome was deforested in the whole of Brazil. And I went with my grandpa. It was really nice, really fun thing to do it in the start of the Sunday. And the last project that I participated, it's called Rodando Tampinhas, which basically we collect plastic bottle caps that were previously just thrown in the bin, and we collect them and we send to this place that's exchanged for wheelchairs for those who need. It's around 200 kilograms for a chair, but if you think a little bit, it's not too much if you collect each bottle cap every time you drink a bottle of water. And I started it by myself at home, and I continued it in my school with collection centers, so that more people in my school community and teachers and staff could also participate and make it a good action for our planet.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really inspiring to actually get out and work with other people, isn't it? And it's enjoyable. It's fun. It's a great thing to do. And those 200 kilos for bottle caps for a wheelchair, Coca-Cola produces 200,000 bottles every minute of every day. So there's a lot of bottle caps out there to collect and a lot of wheelchairs to get. So thank you very much for your participation and sharing that with us. That's amazing. Okay, Madison, can I come back to you and ask you to tell us about what you've been doing?
Okay, so at Sky College, I'm a member of the Eco Club, which is basically a club that meets every Monday after school to learn or continue projects that we are starting. The club has also been involved with the wheelchair bottle cap thing that Leo was busy talking about. So that's an ongoing thing. So every time someone has a bottle cap to give, they will just put it in a jar. So we keep it's repetitive basically. We also discussed and created strategies to educate others. So what I mean by that is we have been talking about creating videos to discuss the different ideas of the UN, like how to solve poverty and hunger in our countries, because in Africa, it is a huge problem that we have, and surprisingly contributes to climate change as well, because when people don't have food and clean water, they resort to foods that come in plastics, and those plastics are not properly thrown away. So they'll end up in our rivers and in our animals and our food everywhere. For me personally, in the schools that I've previously been in, education on climate change is not talked about enough. And it's why I'm excited about this project, because I think we need to, when people hear the word climate change, they kind of just brush it off and they think nothing of it because, oh, that's something I can't fix. It's too big to fix. And they don't have the proper education. And I think people protect things that they love, but they love things that they know. So we need to teach before we can ask for action. And that's why I'm grateful to be a part of this. Thank you.
That's great. Okay. Well, I hope your Eco Club will take advantage of the free resources we have on our website, and especially the Getting Started with Climate Change Education part of that. And perhaps your teachers would be interested in joining our research community as well. And that'll put you into contact with many more people around that. And as you pointed out, these problems are all interlocked, aren't they? And there's no easy answers. These are complex problems. And part of your education needs to go beyond critical thinking and analysis into how we deal with these wicked problems and complex situations. So it's a real challenge out there for everybody. Okay, Madison, thank you so much. That's great. Maura in Argentina, tell us about what you've been doing.
Well, for me, it hasn't just been one project, it has been a process. In 2023, I carried out a research with a friend where we investigated about fast fashion, its causes and impacts in the climate change, especially in the USA. We kept in mind the Sustainable Development Goals, especially the 9, the 12, and the 13 that were related to this project. And we found a UN record that stated that for making one single pair of jeans, they needed 7,500 liters of water. That is the amount that a person drinks in 7 years. That personally shocked me, and I decided I had to do something. So during the last 2 years, I have been participating in lots of projects. However, the main ones were the ones I did this year. For instance, I participated in Copa Climática, that is a competition where we learn about climate change, causes, impacts, and strategies. And I could apply that knowledge to another project we are doing at school for HEWIC, that is an organization from the University of Buenos Aires that do research in the north of Argentina, where there are several problems with water pollution. They don't have the sufficient amounts of money to afford for the material they need to make the investigations. So we decided we could do sustainable products such as fabric bags and beeswax wax that will be reusable, and we will sell it to collect the money and send it to this organization. So in the end, I think that these projects that do not just inspire young people to get involved in this type of projects or initiatives, but it also motivates our wider community to support and believe that this is a type of solution that they can do easily to help our path to solve climate change, or at least do a small action to contribute to it.
Thank you. No, every action counts. And of course, across the Andes from you is Chile. And every year, hundreds of thousands of tons of discarded clothes are dumped in the Atacama Desert. And as you know, with their desert environments, things don't break down. They just pile up there. So anything we can do to actually buy decent clothes that we wear for years and not things that we just wear for a season and throw away is a great thing to do. So yeah, really, really inspiring. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, what we've heard is three sets of amazing projects that everybody's working on. Maura, can I stay with you and ask you what's inspired you from this morning and talking to your fellow students?
Well, I think that we share a lot of things between each other. I think we'll have the same motivation. For instance, Leonardo is very motivated with floods and with collecting plastic from many places, because that's a very severe problem here and everywhere, because climate change and pollution isn't just a problem in Argentina or in Brazil. It's a problem, it's a global problem that affects all of us. So we all have to take action. And as Madison said, I think that other people don't have usually the support or the opportunity to take action as many people do. So I think it would be great, as she said, to help this issue, and to help people that don't have the opportunity and encourage them to try to reach or teach them what we already knew about climate change, and every action we can make to continue this and to help our planet.
Excellent. Yeah, clearly you're as inspired as I am. Well done. Thank you. Madison, how did you find this morning, and any comments on your colleagues' presentations?
I think the biggest difference that I found between me and everyone else is the amount of projects that they have access to. And I think it's hard for South Africa because we don't have many communities that want to talk about climate change. We have a lot of communities that help with poverty in our country, but I think people would be more willing to talk about climate change if they knew how much climate change also affected poverty and hunger in our countries. Um, I think that's all I have to say. I think we're all very common. We all have the same issues and we all see the same things and how everything ties together. And I think all we want is for everyone else to have the same picture that we have.
Excellent. Yes, that communication is so important, and how we communicate is really, really important. And the first point you made, I think that news items today are very quickly forgotten, aren't they? We read about a flood, and we never read 2 weeks later how people are still being impacted, or 2 months or 2 years later how people are still being impacted. And it's like climate change. Yeah, I saw that on the news last year. So what? So the work that all of you are doing, keeping this conversation alive, actually getting out there, acting upon climate is fundamentally important. And the impact you have on so many other people is great. And via this event, of course, you're getting even more opportunity to have an impact on other people out there. And I'm hoping that other people will be just as inspired as you. So I'd like to finish off with Leo in Brazil. Can we have your comments on what you've seen today?
I enjoy really today, and I enjoyed hearing that Madison takes part in an eco club here in my school. I'm president of the environmental club, and here the main goal is to make the young people and people from different tier groups participate actively. For example, I am now the club is only me and a girl from year 7, but we plan in making it larger and adding more people from different tier groups. And I feel that's all the three of us, and I think all people in this meeting have in themselves this sense of community, the sense that every tiny action makes a difference. And we sure need to focus on these achievements for a good and pleasurable future.
Excellent. That's tremendous. Okay, Maura, Madison, Leo, thank you very much. You've already inspired people because we have a lot of questions in the chat and coming in. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Hattie in Cambridge, and she's going to manage the Q&A session for us right now. But congratulations, you all did a brilliant job. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to Richard, and thank you to all of our brilliant students for your valuable and just very diverse insights. It's great to hear how involved, how motivated, and how passionate you all are. So we'll now move into the Q&A. There are a few questions in the chat. Thank you for posting all your questions. Our first question is from Ramiz in India. And Ramiz says, do you think technology alone can solve climate change, or do we also need lifestyle changes? Leonardo, do you want to take that one and share your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. I personally have mixed opinions. I think technology makes it easier for us to solve with new innovations and technology advancements, but I think action needs to start from our own persona and our own actions. I think technology is a resource that we can use but the main thing that will drive us to mitigate climate change is our will and our will to take care of our home, essentially.
Thank you, Leonardo. And here's another one that's come through from Rego, a teacher in Rio. And it says, how can you engage your friends to pay attention to climate change? Do you have a channel, a place, or a club at school where you can talk and discuss about this issue? Madison, do you like to answer that?
Yes. I think I understand this issue a lot because I think when you speak to your friends about issues like climate change, sometimes if you go on too strong, they can brush it off and say, no, I don't want to hear about it. I think the best way is to find a fun way in teaching people about it. I find that on YouTube, there are a lot of people who talk about it, or not even talk about it, but their lifestyles are helping to change climate change, and they are fun to watch. So finding those sort of people is very important because you can show your friends that it doesn't have to be, oh, I need to change everything in my life. It can be you go from using normal sunscreen to coral safe sunscreen. It's as simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madison. I couldn't agree more. And Richard has already alluded to this, and I think it's in the chat. But we have a brilliant resource, the Getting Started with Guide on Climate Change Education, which is on our website, and it's available for you to use if you're thinking about how to start teaching climate change in your classrooms. So next question, another really interesting question, and this is again from Ramiz, says, do you believe climate change is more of a scientific issue or a moral responsibility? Maura?
Well, from my perspective, climate change is not just a scientific fact, it's a reality, and we can see it every day. As, for example, years ago, it wasn't so hot, or there weren't so many heavy rains that can affect or cause many floods in every country. Or maybe we can see that there are droughts, droughts in places that they weren't before. And I think that it's the main responsibility of every people to take action. And as Madison said, it's not to take a big action, not to do something really big, but to start from small things. For example, instead of using a shampoo that has maybe some toxic substances, to use a vegan one, or that is plastic free. And in that way you are helping a lot, because, for example, if one person throws a paper or plastic to the floor, they think, well, it's just one paper, but there are other 7 billion people who think the same. And in that way, there are 7 billion plastic in the floor thrown by people. So a small action can contribute a lot to help this issue.
Thank you, Maura. Great answer. And this is a question, I think, for everyone, really, for all our students. And it's from Sonia. It says, do you think your involvement in climate change activities or what you've learned might influence your future career choices? Great question, Sonia. Leo, shall we come to you first?
Yeah, sure. I think it's will for sure impacts my future, because climate change by itself will impact our future. So our knowledge is essential for we help to adapt and mitigate climate change in order to so that the future can be a good thing for us in the future to remember, and for us living to have a good living of it and profit from it, right?
Madison, what about you? Do you think it will involve your future career choice or choices?
So for me, I think from a young age, my choice in career has always been to have a career that's going to make a change. I have always said I don't want to sit in an office unless I am making a global change towards the way that we all live our lives. And I think learning about climate change definitely makes you think not only about what am I going to be and do when I'm older and I have to get a job, but also how do I want to live? Because you have to think about the way that your own career affects everyone else. Because I think lots of people see it as your career is a one-way thing, that it's only a little bubble, but each career contributes something.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madison. Maura?
Well, since I was a child, I always wished to work in something related to the environment, and especially something that could help the environment, be animals, people, or even the economy, but always related to the environment. And I think that is these that I'm doing, these projects are not just something that may give me an academic validation, but also is something that gives me a lot of knowledge and a lot of practice for the future. And I even implement it nowadays in my day-to-day life. So I think that what I'm doing is useful anytime in my life, in future, in the present, or it was even useful in the past in many occasions. So I think it's really, really important to get involved.
Thank you. Do we have time? I think we have time for maybe one more question. There's a couple of questions that are similar, and I think our students have answered it on how to motivate people to take action. So I'm going to skip those. From your perspective, do you think climate change will get worse in 5 years if we don't act now as a collective group? And that's open to anyone who wants to jump in.
I will take it if that's okay. I think that there's a lot of research that says that climate change will definitely go worse if we do nothing about it. And I think that alone can normally make people switch off and go, okay, well, the fight is over. I can't do anything about it. But you need to dive into climate change and the fact that we have so many people that are trying to talk about climate change, it shows that there is change happening. And I think a lot of people focus on the negative, like ice caps melting, floods. And of course, it's important to talk about those things because those are the things that we are trying to change. But it's also good to talk about the stuff like our ozone layer is finally repairing. I think it's actually fully repaired now. And the fact that we have so many species that are being brought back from the brink of extinction, and that there are so many places that are working towards changing climate change and the effects of climate change. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Can
Thank
I
you
add
so
some-
much.
Yeah, I would also like to I was thinking here, and I think that the actual question is not if climate change will worsen in 5 years, is if humanity actions will increase in 5 years so that we can lower the effects of climate change.
Thank you. Thanks, Leo. I know we're running out of time now, so just wanted to say thank you to everyone who's active in the chat. Thank you for all your lovely reactions, the great questions, and thank you also to our students for your answers. I'm just going to hand back now to Richard to close the session.
Thank you, Hattie. Thank you to everyone who participated in the chat. And wow, awesome. Is all I can say. Ladies and gentlemen, you've just presented us with a lot of inspiration to actually act on climate change. And I'm just so impressed with the work that you're doing. And please keep it going and share it with as many people as possible because you're really doing a superb job. And it's been a real privilege to listen to you today and what you're doing. And I've enjoyed it immensely. And I'm hoping you've enjoyed it immensely as well. And so to everybody out there for Rio Climate Action Week, thank you for being involved. It's so important. And connect with Cambridge and what we're doing on our bit at the university. Thank you.